mytaxtech.com.
Hey, Carl Jackson here from Dennis Prager. While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best of hours.
Do you need any code or anything?
From as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the happiness.
No. Do you want me to just run my show on here, my Instagram?
Shouldn't have to. Which one is it? Okay. On both of them? Yeah. It didn't ask me for a code this time, though, huh?
It didn't log it out. If I don't ever log it out, it just stays logged in.
I just needed a new stream key, but it didn't need to actually redo everything.
Stream key just didn't have to log out.
That makes sense. That makes sense. No, you're good, Doc. You're on everywhere.
Hey, does that zoom in and out, or does that stay right to where it is?
The camera?
Yeah.
Well, it's positioned where it is, so that way it's sort of got you framed correctly. So if we zoom in and zoom out, then you're going to be outside of the frame.
Zooming out would be better than zooming in. I don't want more magnification of me.
All right. Well, we can work the next week about making it a little bit further away and stuff, but that's...
Do you have that little stand for this?
Should be behind the TV. Yeah, I got you.
Oh, I can do it sideways. No, I got to do it this way. Otherwise, it'll be sideways on the show. Can we put it over there? Like, maybe right?
Yeah, as long as it's not within the camera shot, have it wherever we want.
So you're live on all your pages.
Even on Instagram?
Yep.
On Instagram, but you are not on camera yet.
Yeah.
Oh, when will we be on camera?
He's got
This is what I got. That's what's live right now.
Oh, that's all. I love that.
And
Are we live on Facebook right now, or that?
Everything is coming right through here. This is on all your streams.
That Ask the Doctor. Doesn't have me on there yet.
Yep. I don't have your camera on there.
We're not sending any audio to it right now.
What's going through?
Are we going live now?
Right. What I'm looking at though is what are we actually feeding the audio to this?
Should be Skype, right? Where was
Well, this is Skype, so we're going to be looking at.
That's your AccuWeather forecast.
Racing to check it.
Answer. Ask the doctor. Sponsored by Lange Eye Care.
Indiana defeated Philly.
When it comes to your health, and fortified vitamins, Dr. Lange is a board-certified optometric physician and certified nutrition specialist, helping people see and feel better. Proper nutrition for 25 years. The doctor is in. Call now with your questions at 813-282-8283. That's 813-282-8283. Here's your host, Dr. Drmichaellange.
Good morning and welcome to Ask the Doctor. I'm your host as usual, Dr. Michael P. Lang, P for Paul, here each and every Saturday morning live to answer any and all questions you may have regarding your vision and eye care. So this is a live call-in show. I've been hosting this show since, April of 1993. So we're back 31, 32 years live, no break, constantly. So we're coast to coast and we're live video streaming all over the world. So it's actually good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, just depending on what part of the planet you're listening or viewing us from. Remember, this is a live call-in show. I am a board-certified optometric physician, also a certified nutrition specialist. I got degrees in physiological optics and psychology as well. That aids me in the ability of answering your questions. Also, remember, this is for educational purposes only. This never replaces a comprehensive eye evaluation or a medical evaluation. The live call-in number is 813-282-8283. That is 813-282-8283. Remember, next week we'll be in New Orleans, WRNO, live from New Orleans. I think Roger P. Shulman will be with me as well. So we'll probably take his corporate jet and fly down there. Anyway, the call-in number for next week, and you guys and gals give me a little bit of help because we'll only be live on New Orleans, and it's an hour early. So you'd be calling in from 8 to 9 at 813-282-8283. And then we'll probably running that tape afterwards because I'm going to some sorority gigs with my daughter Mackenzie at Tulane. So a lot of fun next week, but we'll be live in New Orleans. All right. And my very welcome co-host and associate at the Lange Eye Institute and 4 to 5 items is Dr. Susan Summerton. She is also a certified optometric physician and a certified nutritional specialist, and she's a diplomat and a fellow also in nutrition. So a lot of great credentials, and I'm going to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Summerton. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Dr. Lange, and good morning to all our listeners out there. Looking forward to a great show today. I'm actually calling in from the Villages here. It is a beautiful day already. The sun is shining. Speaking of New Orleans, I know they've got probably a storm coming through there. All our listeners there, I hope they stay safe. Not sure how bad it's going to be, but that's what we hear on the radio it's going to be. And please call us. We're here to answer your questions. If we don't know your answers, we'll figure it out. And we look forward to sharing the knowledge and sharing some great things that are coming to the Lange Eye Institute. And stay tuned.
Yeah, New Orleans has had some interesting weather lately. You know, they had some hurricanes, and then they had the snow in New Orleans, and Mardi Gras Day was canceled. Crazy because of tornadoes. So hopefully next week, New Orleans is the sun's going to be out. The Cajun food's going to be cooking, and we're all going to be happy. So let's talk before we take the first call. Let's talk a little bit about Lange Eye Institute expansion. And then we'll field some calls. We got a great show. We're going to talk about one of the number one foods to consume that was always told it was bad for you, and now it's good for you. And I bet you're thinking about what it is. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first of all, the Lange Eye Institute, we've got about 6,000 square feet, another 12 exam rooms and treatment rooms that we're opening in about a week to 10 days. So when you walk in the Lange Eye Institute, instead of turning left, you're going to turn right. And that's going to be, we're still trying to figure out what we're going to call it. We might call it the Light, Laser, and Aesthetic Center or Clinic inside the Lange Eye Institute, because we got some really cool stuff that's going on. We've got the new rooms developed for not only treatment of dry eye, but with a little aesthetic touch. So we've got something we've talked about a couple of times now that we purchased called the Lumenis Opti Light IPL, which is the only FDA-approved IPL for dry eye treatment. And we have the Lumenis Opti Lift, which is new generation technology to kind of get rid of your baggy eyelids and make your eyes work a little better, blink better. And the studies indicate close to 300% improvement in dry eye. So we're real excited, Susan, about this new technology. And a lot of people are going to do the combination of both of these. And we're able to take treatment and care of our patients to the next level, aren't we?
We are. And there's been a lot of talk about red light therapy. And we know it's good for us. We know it's good for eyes. We know it's good for our skin. And this is sort of concentrated intense pulse light therapy that really works on those glands that are in the lids. And we often talk about, callers probably hear it, those meibomian glands that are in your upper and lower lids. And most of the majority of the reason for dry eye is people's tears are evaporating too quick. So they're not releasing that oil that they should be from those meibomian glands. So we're getting to the root cause here of why their eyes are drying out and making those meibomian glands work better with a non-invasive, non-surgical treatment using the knowledge and research of that red light. And it's not hard to do. It doesn't hurt. You get to lay back in a spa-like environment and just have your eyelids receive kind of that healing light. And then we know once we get those glands working, the lids are important because that's your blinking. Those are like the windshield wipers. But we know with age, it kind of weakens those, what we call those periorbital muscles, all those muscles right around our lids, and they're not as tight anymore. I know my ladies out there know when you start putting that makeup on, you start putting the eyeliner on, that lid kind of moves a little bit more than it used to. We need that tightness to get that full blinking so those oil and the tears can be released as they should be. So this Opti Lift treatment is, again, a non-invasive, another nice, relaxing spa treatment feel, and it tightens those muscles where you just lay back and relax. And we're super excited about that. We tried it ourselves, and It's about 7-minute treatment, and it's going to have fantastic results.
Right. I mean, just the other day I got carded. I walked into a place, and I was buying some wine for Tammy, and they carded me, and they said, God, you can't be 21. So it really
Dr.
works.
Lange,
Now I do have some.
here,
I do have some swampland right around NOLA, if you believe that. But we did. Dr. Summerton and I both at the conference had the Lumenis Opti Light and the Lumenis Opti Lift both done, just a 3-minute session. And it really takes about 15 minutes, 4 sessions for the entire treatment. But remember, the Lumenis IPL, which is called Opti Light, reduces inflammatory mediators in the meibomian glands. It improves tear breakup time, so it improves dry eye. It destroys abnormal blood vessels that create inflammation. It improves meibomian gland morphology and functionality, and it decreases the population of Demodex mites. So it helps with blepharitis as well. So remember, this is targeted, precise, controlled treatment. That's what the Opti Light is. It's quick, it's painless, it's a 15-minute procedure, takes 4 treatments. The results are absolutely amazing. Multiple peer-reviewed clinical studies using this device. Also, it's going to make the lids look better, so more even color. It's going to actually reduce any age spots or little blood vessels and microscopic little wrinkles. So it gives you a refreshed look and treating the dry eye at the same time. And remember, the Opti Lift is the only, I repeat, the only type of technology. It's a non-invasive device that uses dynamic muscle stimulation, or something called DMS, and radio frequency, RF, to address the lower lid laxity and impaired blinking. So all of you with those bags underneath your eyes and the crow's feet, and the lids are starting to come out and you're getting poor blink and incomplete closure, it addresses that. It's a non-surgical solution for a lifted appearance. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines. You're listening to Ask the Doctors. I'm Dr. Drmichaellange, of my co-host, Dr. Susan Summerton, both of the Lange Eye Institute in the Villages, Florida. Give us a call at 813-282-8283, 813-282-8283. And you see, we got a new background behind me. That's the Tampa Bay skyline. And you can also see Dr. Summerton over there in the corner. So one more time, phone lines are open. We're waiting for that first call from Texas. You Texans are a little bit shy, and I don't understand that, because my cousins are from Texas and they're not too shy. Give us a call at 813-282-8283. One more time, 813-282-8283. Also, we talk a lot about nutrition on this show. We talk about ways to slow down the aging naturally in the eyes and the body. All right. I developed the Fortify line of vitamins, and our motto is right ingredients, right science, right for you. You can learn about the supplements that we've created. Dr. Summerton has been involved in a lot of these studies at fortify.com. So that's FORTIFEYE, fortify.com. Since we're eye doctors, just a little play on words, fortify.com. And I always recommend going to the science section under each supplement, because that will show me, or show you, the reason for the particular ingredients and the ratios of the ingredients that we use. Everything is backed by good clinical science. And also, all the vitamins are fully transparent. We tell you exactly what's in it. It's not some silly proprietary blend that proves that you're just not proud of what's in your supplements. All right. And the phone number for Fortify Vitamins, let me give you that, and I'm going to give you the Lange Eye Institute phone number. So if you're interested to see if you're a candidate for this new Lumenis Opti Light or the new Lumenis Opti Lift, the phone number for Lange Eye Institute first, I'm going to give it to you twice, is 352-753-4014. That's 352-753-4014. And then Fortify Vitamins is 866-503-9746. That's 866-503-9746. I don't know if Charlene will be at the Lange Nutrition Center this morning, and I don't know if she's answering the phones. It might be closed today, but the Fortify Nutrition Center in Clearwater on McMullen Booth Road will be open today. And I might yonder over there, maybe around 1 o'clock for a little bit. I might. I'm not 100% sure yet. All right. So we got an interesting show ahead, and we're going to take a call in just a minute. But there's some really neat study about the incredible edible egg. All right. We have been preached and told by our doctors eggs are high in cholesterol and they're bad for you. But we're finding out that eggs are actually pretty good for you. I'm going to let Dr. Summerton chime in on that, but it may decrease the chance of dementia, cognitive decline. It may actually help reduce the chance of macular degeneration at all. I mean, that's pretty exciting, these sciences, eating a whole food that's very good for us, that has a biological value of 100. Eggs are actually good for us, aren't they?
It is. And what you're talking about came from this Rush Memory and Aging project. There was over 1,000 participants in it. And it was over, I think, almost about 7 years. And they published it just recently and just said 1 egg per week is associated with 47% reduced risk of developing Alzheimer's. So that's pretty significant for very little effort of just adding an egg per week to your diet. Of course, when you increase it, if you get 2 eggs, that was linked to lower Alzheimer's pathology in the brain. So then we're seeing significant differences on actual science there. And what they thought was it's mostly the choline that's in the egg that's supporting that brain function. And just 1 egg, and that's kind of a large egg, is about 150 milligrams of choline. So that's about 30% of what we should get per day. So you start at 1 egg, but we know even with macular degeneration, you take that up to 4 eggs per week and you're going to benefit your macula as well. So it's just a simple little dietary change that you can think about and just add into your diet.
And there was a study we talked about recently, Dr. Summerton, where Alzheimer's, they looked and they saw patients with dementias. They're much lower in certain nutrients, but specifically lutein and zeaxanthin as well. So, they may find that the eggs, not only is it the choline that's helping the brain, but the lutein and the zeaxanthin. Remember, these are carotenoids that cross the blood-brain barrier and are amazing, not only for the retina, but amazing for the brain as well. So the gist of this story is start eating your eggs. Eat them at a very young age. I mean, I would consume at least 4 eggs a week. But heck, it's not going to hurt you to have 3-4 eggs a day. Remember, protein is so important. Most of you for breakfast, what did you have for breakfast? You had a bagel, you had a piece of toast, you had oatmeal, you had some colorful cereal with lots of sugar and dye. So, there's nothing wrong with a nice egg omelet. Throw in some baby leaf kale and some onions and, maybe some broccoli or something, and have a bowl of blueberries. But you got to have protein. Remember, we got to get, I think most of the science now, we're big into sports nutrition, Dr. Summon, isn't it? If you're, relatively athletic and you want to thrive and not just survive, we need to be getting close to 1 gram per body weight of protein.
Right. And you do have to know what you're eating to make sure you are getting that. I could try to space it out. If you think 30 to 40 grams per meal, you've got to make sure breakfast, you start with that protein, because then it's going to be hard to make up the difference if all you're getting is carbohydrate for your breakfast. So I tell people start with your protein. If you're still hungry, then you can add the other things. But if you're trying to make the dietary changes and put the good in, start by eating that protein first and then add your fruits and vegetables. And if you're still hungry, then a little bit of carbohydrate. But it's just an easy kind of change to make. Protein fills you up. And so you're less likely to overeat because you're full with the protein.
And we're also finding that a good time to consume protein, this is, once again, if you're relatively athletic, you're trying to build muscle and lose fat, and you're trying to recover quickly, that it's probably not a bad idea to have some good quality protein right at bedtime. And lately, I have been consuming our Fortify vegan super protein. at bedtime. Last night at midnight, I had 2 scoops. That gives me 42 grams of protein at bedtime. So we've got almost 8 hours of positive protein muscle synthesis while I'm sleeping. So that's helping me recover instead of fasting without anything in our body. Remember, this protein hardly has any carbs and any calories. It's pure protein, and it's slow acting and long acting. So you want a whey protein right after working out, maybe a whey protein right when you wake up because you fasted. But as a meal replacement or at lunchtime or certainly at bedtime, our Fortify vegan super protein is a good idea. But that's also a relatively new study, isn't it? Showing that about 40 grams of protein at bedtime is probably a good thing.
It is. And people, I know my concern was, if you're eating before sleep, is it going to affect your sleep? But the study found that 40 grams of protein before sleep, and like you said, the low calorie, just protein, no carbohydrate, not with all the added things to it. It enhances that muscle protein synthesis while you're sleeping for 7.5 hours without disrupting the sleep. So you were still able to go through your normal sleep cycle and build muscle basically while you're sleeping.
That's the name of the game, building muscle, losing fat. I know we got a lot of people on hold. We're getting ready to take Steve in 1 second. But those of you, all the lines are booked up right now, so you just keep calling in. We'll have some lines open in a second. Let's go to Steve. He's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Steve. Welcome to the program.
Well, I thought I'd take St. Patrick's Day and apply it to eye health. How's that?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, here's what's going on. You remember last week we talked about the London fog and that it blocks sunlight and that there's not much sunlight in England because of the fog and the high latitude?
Right.
Well, Ireland's even more so. Okay, they have the same fog and they have the high latitude. There's a nickname for Ireland called the Emerald Isle because the country is green. You know, we associate green with Ireland, right?
Right.
The reason it looks so green in Ireland is because since the sun is blocked out so much more of the time because of the cloudy weather from the Gulf Stream and because of the high latitude, the plants have to produce more chlorophyll to obtain the same amount of photosynthetic energy. So there's a compensatory mechanism as to why the island looks so super green compared to most other places. For instance, if you go in the desert, look at the cactuses and stuff, they get out too much sun. So if you think about desert plants, they don't really look very green. They almost look brownish green because they don't need it. So how does this apply for eye health? Well, in the same way that these plants have a compensatory mechanism for making more chlorophyll, when the red light hits our eyes or the blue light, we have a compensatory mechanism. We start secreting protective enzymes in the retina. Now, by the advantage of red light is that it doesn't damage, but it still stimulates the protective mechanism so that later in the day, when we do have blue light, we're protected from it more than if we did not get the red light earlier in the day. So there you go. I don't know if anybody followed that. But
you know, it's interesting. I wonder if, so that the vegetation in Ireland and Scotland, England is adapting and overcoming to their climate. I wonder if the greens there, if they have more chlorophyll and they're greener, I wonder if they produce more lutein. It'd be interesting to find out, to test the kale there versus the kale in America.
Yeah, well, actually less, and because they really don't need it because they don't have as much free radicals formed because they don't get too much ultraviolet light. So but you know, that's another thing. By the way, I've seen a study where the eggs, if you hard boil them, you don't get half the amount of lutein as if you soft boil them. The more you cook the egg, the less soluble the lutein is. So that scrambled eggs are pretty good, but the best is soft boiled or poached. But scrambled eggs are good, omelets are good, but hard boiled eggs that are rare, that you just won't, you'll get lutein out of them, but not as much.
Right. So we don't want to overcook our food. And that's the same thing with baby leaf kale. Gently saute it or gently boil it, but do it pretty quick. and you're not going to overcook it. Steve, thanks as usual. That was a great call.
One more quick point. There's something very interesting about protein and babies.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the baby gets its protein from the mother through the placenta. Okay, some amino acids are more penetrable through the placenta than others, and it's been found that babies have a different certain amino acids that are essential for non-essential for adults are essential for babies. So what's very interesting about that is the mother's protein intake is very, very important, but the baby can produce some amino acids that he won't be able to later in life. That's something to think about. But I've used my 3 minutes, so I'll let you go.
All right, Steve, thanks for the call.
Okay.
All right, and we're gonna actually chime in on about certain types of amino acids for kids in just a minute. But let's go to the phones. I think Rachel's been waiting patiently. Maybe Rachel in Gainesville. Rachel, welcome to the program. Thanks for holding.
Rochelle.
Oh, Rochelle. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like a mile away up on the screen, so it's hard for me to see. I thought it looked like Rachel from here.
Oh, that's okay. Well, hello, Dr. Lange. This is your holistic nutritionist in Clearwater. And I just want both of your expertise on the microplastics. They're everywhere. Everybody's talking about it, yet even in our industry, they keep formulating all these products in plastic. And I'm wondering, what is the leaching process? Have you seen studies on that? You know, we know that heat can be leaching, maybe cold, and yet, you know,
but maybe we'll get you back here in a second. Yeah, microplastics are a big problem, and Dr. Sumner's going to chime in about that because she understands the importance of being on the proper diet and detoxifying and even chelation therapy. But, you know, I'm drinking a water right now. It is Zephyr Hills. I like Wata water better, but I drink this at room temperature because there's some studies that show that you don't want to heat it or cool it. So my bottled water, I keep at room temperature. Now, this is supposed to be bisphenol free, so that's better. But, you know, what other contaminants are in plastics that could leach into the bottle? I mean, a perfect world would be drinking water that's coming out of a good well that doesn't have any chemicals in the well, and maybe we store it in a glass container. But let's face it, you know, here in the Tampa Bay, not many people have well water, and well water can be contaminated. It can be even worse. So I think filtering your water, but remember, it's coming through PCP pipes or it's coming through copper pipes. So unless you're up in the mountain stream and drinking it and it's not contaminated, or you're drinking some sort of well water that's not contaminated, you got to survive. So you make the best of it. And so I think bottled spring water, preferably in glass bottles, you know, like Saratoga and Mountain Valley. But if you are doing plastics, don't keep it in the trunk of your car. And don't freeze it. Don't even put it in the refrigerator. You know, drink it at room temperature. But you're correct. It's in everything. And I'm hoping with our government that we have now, maybe we're going to be minimizing some of the bad toxins that we're consuming on a daily basis. And you think about all the disease, a lot of the disease that we have is related to what we're ingesting and what we're breathing and what we're putting on our bodies and what we're soaking in the bathtub. But I know Dr. Summerton is biting at the bit to chime in on this, Dr. Summerton.
Well, we do wish we had the perfect solution for this, but she's right. There's microplastics everywhere. And the more they study it, the more they find it's really in everything because our waters are contaminated. But it's just consciously trying to avoid the plastics and especially heating the plastics up. So if you're buying plastic water bottles, you have to think about, did that water bottle sit outside in the Florida hot sun, you know, over 100 degrees, leaching those microplastics into the water that you're going to drink? And when you're cooking, a lot of these cooking that come in those plastic bags, and they say to heat it in the plastic bag, you don't want to be doing that because the more heat exposure, the more it can release into the food. And we even have to think about it in our takeout food when you're, you know, ordering food to go and they put it in the plastic containers. That food is still really hot. It's going to leach into the food. But it is one of those things. I think when we learn about it, I know myself, I get so concerned about it. And you're like, well, what can I eat? Because everything has it in it. But it's just being cognizant. You can, like you said, filter your water. You can get a water filter at home. You can use your own glass container to drink your water out of, because we don't want you to stop drinking water. Just look at your cookware and see what you're cooking with, and avoid cooking in those plastic bags. There is more things like chelation, but we're not even sure how much the chelation, if you're trying to get it out of your body, works that well too. But also knowing you have a great body. Your body is designed to keep you healthy. You've got to feed it and treat it with care so it will do its job it's supposed to do. So you just do your best, giving it the fuel it needs, and just know your body will try to filter out the toxins as long as you treat it with care.
That's right. We got to have a healthy liver. So all of you out there abusing alcohol, a lot of you New Orleans boys and girls, it's like the favorite pastime, consuming hurricanes. Cut back on your alcohol. If the liver doesn't work, we don't detoxify well. If your kidneys don't work, we don't detoxify. So like Dr. Summerton mentioned, you got to get your body in the best shape possible. If you're overweight, lose the weight. Remember, if you're overweight, it's not your genetic predisposition. It's not your mama's fault that you're overweight. Okay. It's, you don't have the willpower to stop eating the wrong foods and exercising more. So quit blaming it on your genetic tree. And then also organically grown foods. I know they're very expensive, but the dirty dozen fruits and vegetables, try to make sure they're organically grown so we can eliminate the pesticides. But you got to wash them really well also. If you're going to eat some organic strawberries, blackberries, non-organic strawberries, I think there's some interesting science. I was watching a podcast the other day, just taking some baking soda, a tablespoon of baking soda, putting in the water and soaking that fruit with the baking soda for 15 minutes and then pouring it off. Something in the baking soda helps neutralize it. The acidity is more alkaline. I don't know exactly what it does, but it's not going to hurt you. So you can try doing that as well. Little things will add up. All right, Rochelle?
Right, and styrofoam too. That's the other bad boy.
Yeah.
And
Styrofoam is not the best thing in the world. And remember, when you're microwaving stuff, don't microwave it in plastic. I don't love the microwave, but sometimes it's quick. But don't be microwaving things in plastic. And popcorn bags, do it the old-fashioned way. Pop it in on the stove in a stainless steel or a cast iron pot.
Right. Back to the basics. Just one last question. What are both of you wonderful doctors, your opinions on the eye formulas for the eyes? You go into the store and you go, well, I need some dry eye drops. Which one should I choose?
Okay, so for dry eye drops, I would always get a preservative-free. Right? Make sure it's preservative-free, preferably in individual vials, although they do make a preservative-free container these days. It's just hard if you're elderly and you have a little arthritis in your hands. It's hard to squeeze the preservative-free bottles. So the individual vials. The two that I like the best are Oasis Tears or Oasis Tears Plus and Optase, because they also have sodium hyaluronate. That's hyaluronic acid in them. That acts as a natural anti-inflammatory. And we've literally got thousands of patients taking that. So look for Oasis Tears Plus. I think you can only get that through doctor's offices. And Optase, I think you get that over the counter. And certainly people can get it on our website at fortify.com under the eye care section. We have both of those drops available. And as far as the vitamins over the counter for the eyes, of course, I'm a little bit biased since I develop vitamins for the eye. You want to make sure that there's not too much zinc in them. 80 milligrams of zinc is entirely too much for the majority of people that have macular degeneration. Make sure there's no dyes and crazy binders. Look for a vegan capsule or a gel cap, not a tablet. And make sure there's actually therapeutic amounts, lutein, at least 6 milligrams, zeaxanthin, at least 2 milligrams. A lot of these vitamins, they're just putting window dressing. So they have 0.25 milligrams of lutein. It's just enough to get label claim. Or you can use the fortifyvitamin.com, the Fortify website, and go to our vitamins and look at the ingredient profile as a template. So you can look at our ingredient profile, then you can try to find something similar at the local vitamin store if you don't want to buy, Fortify.
Great. Well, we want to buy Fortify.
Amen.
They're the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Bye-bye. All right, you're listening to Ask the Doctors. We're broadcasting from Salem Media here in beautiful Tampa Bay, and you can look behind me. The Tampa Bay skyline is right behind me. What a beautiful skyline. And I think Joe took that last night. That's a brand new picture, right? He's an artistic young fella. Phone lines are open, 813-282-8283. That's 813-282-8283. And before we talk about the next subject, I want to just briefly talk about the perfect meal for macular degeneration. Dr. Summerton and I were talking about this on the ride in this morning. So you take a cast iron pan, preferably, and you put some coconut oil in there, because coconut oil is good for people with macular degeneration. So you get organic extra virgin coconut oil. Then you'd take wild Alaskan salmon. I didn't say farm-raised salmon. I didn't say Nova Scotia or Scottish salmon. That's all farm-raised. So wild Alaskan salmon. Salmon is high in omega-3 that is good for macular degeneration, great source of protein, and high in astaxanthin, a supercarotenoid that has also been shown in clinical studies to help macular degeneration. You take dark green leafy vegetables, preferably organic baby leaf kale, very high in lutein. You take orange bell peppers, very high in zeaxanthin. You take a bowl of blueberries, very high in flavonoids, maybe a little bit of pistachios, also high in lutein. And maybe for dessert, you have some goji berries. And now we're going to take it to the next level, aren't we, Dr. Summerton? You put an egg on top of all of that. The egg has the choline, more lutein and zeaxanthin, but more importantly, the egg has phospholipids in it. And these phospholipids help all of these carotenoids absorb into the retina. So that's the perfect meal using the incredible edible egg. Ain't that a fact, Dr. Summerton?
It is. And we do talk a lot about supplements, but we do want to emphasize you need to have a good foundation in your diet. It is supplements. The supplements are not to substitute what you're not eating. They're to supplement and enhance what you're eating. So we need that foundation of good, healthy food, and then add on from what we're missing. And we know all those foods, we always talk about the lutein and zeaxanthin. And you mentioned before about it going to the brain. So if you think about it, these nutrients that are coming from all those foods you mentioned, they have to go through all your digestive system. Then they have to pass through your blood-brain barrier that's picky about it, what it goes in. Then it goes into your brain. And your brain's very greedy. Fortunately, it's going to take all that lutein and zeaxanthin it needs first. And then if there's any left over, it'll make its way to your macula, that center of your eye, and be stored there. So that's why we emphasize getting enough in your diet, because we want to have a therapeutic dose to have that therapeutic healing effect. And we know it's difficult to get that amount into your diet every day. So we start with that good foundation food and then supplement from there.
And not to knock the carnivore diet, because I do like the carnivore diet for certain people in certain situations. And I practice kind of the carnivore diet for supper, just protein for supper. But those of you out there with macular degeneration and are susceptible to it, you got to get some of the things we just talked about. You really do. And all of you extreme athletes, you got to have carbohydrates after working out. So even if you're on the carnivore diet, after you pump an iron, take your protein and have some blueberries or watermelon with it. Therefore, it can bump up the carbohydrates to help with recovery. And studies indicate you recover 40% faster the next day if you have some sort of carbohydrate. Now, maybe honey. So honey, maybe people on a carnivore diet or an animal type diet may like honey, because the honeybee is, I still think, is an animal, not a plant. So Also, another trick of the trade for you people out there that are over 60 and you might not have the digestion you used to have when you're eating this perfect meal that we talked about for macular degeneration, throw a little pineapple in there. Not a lot. A little pineapple has a proteolytic enzyme called bromelain, and it helps you break down the protein so you absorb it better. And that's what Dr. Summerton was talking about. We got to absorb the protein. Or, once again, especially if you're a carnivore or on a ketogenic diet, you want to just take some enzymes with that meal or 5 minutes before or 5 minutes before you have a protein shake. So, and vegans can take these enzymes because they're plant-based. Fortify makes the Fortify enzymes, and you just take one capsule of those enzymes right before any cooked meals or before your protein shake, before the perfect meal for macular degeneration. And it will help break down the proteins, the carbohydrates, and the lipids, which are the fats. And before we talk about the next subject, I just want to chime in, since I got you guys and gals' attention on macular degeneration and nutrition. We have developed something called Next Gen Macular Defense, Fortify Next Gen Macular Defense, and Fortify Next Gen Zinc Free Macular Defense. And you can go online and look at those, and you can see who we recommend the zinc free, those 4 questions you ask. And most of you don't need extra zinc, okay? The only people that need extra zinc, in my opinion, are the ones on diuretics, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, drinking more than 2 glasses of alcohol a night, or on a diuretic. And if you don't fall in that category, get the zinc-free Next Gen Macular Defense. And the phone lines are open. If you got a question, give us a call at 813-282-8283. They are open now, 813-282-8283. You can get just about everything we talk about on the Fortify website at fortify.com. That's FORTIFEYE. And I'm going to give you the toll-free number for Fortify Vitamins. It's 866-503-9746. That's 866-503-9746. Also, I want to just commend myself. We made it to 75,000 followers now on Instagram. Remember, I had about 250,000 followers a few years back, and then some Russian chick stole my Instagram page. That's right. Just all of a sudden, this Russian broad had my Instagram page, and I had to complain to Instagram, and they said, well, we just have to delete it. So I'm building it back up. We got 75,000 followers, and that's Drmichaellange _. We got a blue check. It's legitimate. It's the only real Drmichaellange Instagram. There's a lot of fake ones. So Drmichaellange _ on Instagram. Follow me on there. We always give a lot of good information, and sometimes we give a quick promo sale, for 10 to 12 hours with a special code. So check that out. Also, you can go to langeeyecare.com, and you can see the latest on the Opti Lift and the Opti Light under what's new. So that is at langeeyecare.com. All right, one more time. The phone lines to give me and Dr. Summerton a call is 813-282-8283. Finally, the new vitamin C is out. It's been a big hit. It's called Fortify Next Gen Vitamin C. It's an 8-hour sustained release. It has micro beadlets inside a clear capsule. You can actually see these micro beadlets. It's only $16 for a 2-month supply. So check out the Next Gen Vitamin C. It's the only sustained release with a clinical study proving 8 hours of sustained release in America right now. And it's only $16. Micro beadlets. So check it out. Last time I'm giving you a phone number, and we're going to talk about more of the meat of the matter. 813-282-8283. So, Dr. Summerton, we talked about the incredible edible egg, how it's actually very good for us, all right? Not bad for us. And it can reduce the chance of dementia, Alzheimer's, and macular degeneration. Also, is a great source of protein for kids. And there's another nutrient out there that isn't only good for kids, but it's also good for elderly, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, to help stop sarcopenia. And it's called creatine. And we have creatine at a therapeutic dosage in our Fortify Fit Pro. And creatine, all the studies, I think there's 700 studies out there, are proving it's good for all ages. Isn't that correct?
It is. And this is a supplement that even I used to think, oh, it's only for bodybuilders. We don't have to worry about that. But looking into all these studies and now what we know, your body does make creatine, but you also need a healthy liver, pancreas, and your kidneys to produce. We normally produce about 1 gram a day, but we need at least 2 grams, even 4 grams a day. And so we have to eat it, and we have to eat it through like meat and fish to get it. And again, you've got to get that protein to get that creatine requirement. But with kids, they found it actually gives them greater height, more lean mass, more bone density. And that, as you say, also goes into all ages. So it not only matters when we're growing and producing that bone, but it also matters when we're aging, so we don't lose that muscle. We talk about this a lot, that word sarcopenia, when you lose that muscle mass. But now it's also important for the brain. Your brain needs that creatine as well. And especially as women out there, we are not capable of storing as much creatine as men are. So then we have to be a little bit more cognizant of getting that creatine from our diet to do all those things that helps power the muscle. But even such things as we know in the eye, it actually helps translate that signal of light and dark in our eye and kind of generates our vision. So there's just little things it's using constantly. Even our skin, creatine is what actually powers the production of keratin. That's kind of what lines the outer surface of our skin. It powers your hair growth. It powers the production of sebum, like the oil in your skin. So if you think of it as sort of the powering of everything, it makes you realize how important it is to supplement, get it in your diet, knowing that we do make it as long as we take care of our organs, our liver, pancreas, and kidneys, but getting that whole balance and just, again, performing as we can because we want to live healthy and we want to function optimally.
That's exactly right. And remember, red meat is actually good for you, especially in the developmental stages. So all of you that are tending to go toward a more of a vegan diet or more of a plant-based diet, especially when your children are in the developmental stages, you may want to give them a little red meat. Grass-fed, all right? Preferably organically raised, grass-fed, because it's high in creatine. Now, in order to get 5 grams of creatine, you got to eat 2.5 pounds of red meat. So, you know, little Jimmy's not going to eat 2.5 pounds of red meat unless he's 400 pounds. So think about creatine supplementation. Now, here's one of the big caveats. All creatine, except for one, is made in China. And these studies have actually shown there's some contaminants in it. But the German Creapure creatine is the purest. It's the one with all the studies. It's creatine monohydrate. Buy that at the store. Make sure it says Creapure creatine. You want to take 5 grams a day. Or you can get our Fit Pro. Our Fortify Fit Pro has 5 grams of Creapure creatine in it. It also has the HMB in it that is amazing. The grass-fed whey protein, the L-citrulline, the peak ATP, the vitamin D, the beta anhydrous. So it's a combination of a multitude of different nutrients that help build muscle, give you energy and strength and endurance. And it's good for anybody at any age. My daughter is on this when she was, 12, 13 years of age. And she became close to a world-class volleyball player. And she's doing quite well now. So my mom, 97, almost 98, is on the Fortify Fit Pro. So remember, Creapure creatine, I don't get anything for saying this. It's the only creatine I recommend. If it doesn't say Creapure on it, it's not worth taking. The same thing when you're looking at whey proteins. Make sure the grass-fed label is on it. Make sure it says grass-fed, non-denatured, and where the cows come from. I'm holding up our Fortify super protein. It's grass-fed from New Zealand cows. It's non-denatured. It means it hasn't been heated and destroyed with heat or acid. Most of the whey protein isolates out there, they destroy it with heat first, 200 degrees for over 30 minutes, and then acid to remove the fat and the lactose. And so it's denatured twice. So when you're looking for whey protein, make sure it says grass-fed, non-denatured, and where the cows come from, or simply get it from fortify.com. All right, we're going to the phones. I think it's Abe in Seminole. Abe, thanks for holding. Good morning.
Hey, Dr. Lange, just want to make one point to you. I have twin daughters who are 41 years old. They are both now using your vitamin C and your omega-3. And the one daughter that's here has actually 5 kids, 3 are foster. And she's given them the omega-3, and she said that the kids are just doing great on that. The reason I really called was you talk about avocado, and you said we don't have to get those organic because, you know, it's not going to do us any good. But one thing that's been bothering me, and I haven't really done it, should we really wash the outside of the, the skin before we eat it? Because here I am thinking, oh, I'm eating healthy inside, but here I am touching, and then maybe even touching the fruit with my hand. Should I really be washing that fruit before I eat it, whether organic or not?
Absolutely. I always wash all of that before you touch it because, I mean, if you're really meticulous and you peel it and you're not touching it and you're not licking it and on things, you're probably okay. But avocado, just wash it really good. I mean, and think about broccoli, even if it's not organic. I mean, even if it's organic, you got to wash it. Broccoli, the non-organic version, they spray something on there that makes water bead up from it. I wouldn't eat that. I mean, that might be a plasticizer. I don't know what it is, but put broccoli under the water and see it bead up on it. It's like you took some, some wax, car wax, and put on it. So yeah, I would wash everything, including organic fruits and vegetables. I soak organic berries for quite some time, and then I pour it out and I soak it a little bit longer. I might actually start adding the baking soda. That's something new. I just saw a podcast the other night just to help because there's a lot of cross-contamination out there. You very well may have an organic field and right next to it a non-organic field, and the wind will blow the pesticides onto the organic fruits and vegetables. So we got to do what we can.
Wash my hands after I do that. I've seen where they say put salt on your berries, you know, when you're soaking them in water, and sometimes little larvae and other things will come floating to the top on strawberries, etc.
Right, salt and even apple cider vinegar too helps kill off a lot of the stuff on it. So there's all sorts of things, whether we use salt, apple cider vinegar, or baking soda. I don't know if we put vinegar and baking soda. I remember when I was a kid, I used to make rocket fuel out of baking soda and and vinegar. So it'd be interesting to see what happens to the strawberries if you do that.
Yeah, all the kids are also taking, I mean, the older kids are taking, and myself and my wife, taking your brain and focus. And I have to say, I think I was a little foggy in the brain before, and it's really helping. I really appreciate you talking about your mom, how it's helped her. So you got really great products. I really appreciate it. And God bless you guys.
All right. Okay? Thank you. I think we're about out of time. I think we got 9 seconds. I didn't realize that. Tell everybody bye.
Have a great day and happy Fantastic Day. Eat some green vegetables.